So I'm going to wiggle my toes and have a little look at my toes. Enjoy watching them wiggle. Saying hello to them. I'm going to roll my feet in and out just to see how that feels. And I'm going to take a little rise and a lower. So just in your own time. And as I rise and lower, take a little rock back onto your heels. And do whatever you need to do with your hands. You know, it doesn't have to, we're not in the placement bit yet. So have a little experiment. Wake up those calves. Give your knees a little bend. Give your hips a little shake. Oh, that feels nice. Okay. So taking my mind back down to my feet. Just thinking about that fabulous alignment that we're really getting our heads around. So standing on 2 feet, really planting the heels into the ground. Imagine there's a little tiny, let's go with a blueberry, underneath each arch of each foot. So just lifting up ever so slightly, and the arch of your foot is resting delicately on that blueberry, and it's just helping you to lift up on the inside of the legs. Really nice feeling. And keep wiggling those toes, just so you know where that weight is. And then drawing up into the legs, taking the mind through the hip flexors. Nice softness of your belly just now. Just let that be soft. Let your glutes be soft. Dancing all the way up, one little rib at a time, like playing a piano. Ding, 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 ding. Into the shoulders, drawing them gently down. Arms are long, fingers are heavy, knuckles, be aware of the knuckles. Just softly close your eyes, or half closing, whatever you feel comfortable with. And just really imagine the length of the neck just getting a little bit longer. So sometimes it helps if you just keeping that feeling of having your chin on the shelf, slightly tucking that chin in a little bit. And just feel that energy going up the top of your neck. Take a nice deep breath in and out. And just open the eyes if you had those closed. So we'll take our mind in towards that center. So thinking about the belt, squeezing that belt, like I've got my belt on today. So if I was squeezing that belt in as tight as I possibly could, keeping my arms long, squeezing, 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 almost until it takes your breath away. And then let it go to 50%. And then another tiny bit more, maybe another 20%. Feel what that feels like. Be aware. And then let it go. Let the belly be soft. You might feel like you naturally take a bit of an inhale there. That's okay. So we're going to go again. So drawing everything in. Remembering those muscles we're talking about wrap all the way around your center. So really think about that belt. Pulling in at the sides and the front and the back. Really squeezing in from every bit, all the way in. And then let it go to about 50%. Keep breathing, keep taking breaths. And then let it go another 25, 30%. So it's that lovely feeling of engagement. There we are, we're there. We're at that point. So taking your mind to your pelvic floor, squeezing that in like you really need a wee. Squeezing all the way to the top, top, like it's an elevator. Heading to the glory of the penthouse suite. We sit all the way at the top there, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then dropping it down by 50%. It's really challenging to split the two, your core and your pelvic floor. And then taking it down another 25%. And then let it go. Just think about that TBA, that nice band of muscles, that belt. So get that back to about that 30% that you liked. And then squeezing that pelvic floor right up. Really, really squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Drop that chin ever so slightly, keeping it on a shelf, but lengthening in the neck all the time. Drop it down to 30%, 50% I should say. And then another 30%. We're about there. Everything feels just delicately like you've just said hello and you're just hanging on. You're shaking hands with your core and your pelvic floor, and it's that long, awkward Donald Trump style shake. You're not going to let go just yet. You're going to hold on for as long as you can. Let's scan the room. So I'm just going to gently, not overdoing it, I'm going to say no with my head. I'm taking in the whole room. And whilst I'm taking in the whole room, I'm thinking about my feet being really planted. Think about whether you're pulling up really tightly in the knees. Think about if you've got tension in your glutes as well. So all of those things. It's really hard to do all of that squeezing in of your pelvic floor and squeezing in of your tummy without squeezing your glutes and locking your knees. So don't be afraid to just soften them off a little bit. Remember, your core is working really hard all the time. It's incredibly clever. Otherwise, you wouldn't be stood up at all. So don't worry. Make this your last one. And then very gently saying yes. So not letting your head drop dramatically back, but really scanning. Maybe taking a little bit longer as you drop your chin towards your chest. So we get some space underneath in your thorax. And some space at the very base of your neck, between the tops of your shoulder blades. And then bringing it up to center. Right, let's take our shoulders in. Then we do some shoulder rolls. Oh gosh, that feels nice. And then a nice elbow circle. And then a nice arm rotation. And I'm going to take it right down to come up, gently pushing the floor away into up on my tippy toes. Be careful not to bring your shoulders up as well. And then push the air away as you lower. Round again, shoulders, elbows. Little bend this time as you rotate. And little bend again, and then pressing through your toes, balls of your feet, lifting up. Try and keep those ankles nice and tight, so don't let them wobble. Focus on one thing, and if it's not me, that's all right. Something just above your device would probably be just as good. And then lower. We'll do 2 more of those. Let's get them a bit bigger. So don't be afraid to have a little bend, really opening out the ribs. Oh, and pressing the floor away. Yeah, shoulder blades coming all the way down. Fingers are nice and light. And exhale as you push the air away. Neck is long. One more, a bit bigger this time. And elbows. And arms. Don't worry if you can hear clunking. I'm only saying that because I can hear clunking. Only worry if it's clunking that gives you big pains. Long and long and long. Think about that nice tight belt. Squeeze that in. Pelvic floor. Keep that squeeze as you gently lower. Very nice. So give your hands a little shake. We're going to do a hip opener. So oh my gosh, I was going to absolutely imagine like I was in the dance class with a bunch of 12-year-olds then and roll my legs up into shorts, which actually, to be fair, doing that with you would be less weird than doing it in front of 12-year-olds, but I won't shock you with my lily whites. So my arms are out like this, and they're just going to rotate forwards and backwards. So my thumb is rotating forwards and backwards. I'm going to take my feet out slightly at 10-2 angle, okay? And then I'm just going to lift one heel as I'm rotating my hands, okay? So just one after the other. So this is really good for the arms. It's nice for the balance. We're just getting some mobility in the hips now, waking those up. If you're feeling brave, you can take it slightly off your mat. If you've got a big squishy mat like mine, it's really hard to balance. So don't be afraid to come off of your mat if you find that being on your mat is causing you more trouble than it's worth. So my toes are at 10-2. If I was stood on a clock face, they'd be at 10-2. So again, you can keep your toe on the floor or toe off the floor. Or you can mix it up and do one on and one set off, whatever you like. Nice breath. You'll probably feel it gently in your arms. So try to think about your shoulder blades holding your arms up, not your bicep and your tricep, because they're only little muscles, and your arms are pretty heavy. So think about those shoulder blades pulling down into the base of the spine. We're going to do a couple more, squeezing that belt in nice and tight, pulling that pelvic floor in, that handshake, remember that handshake. One more, and lower. Ooh, yeah, it hurts more when you lower. Give your arms a little roll and a little bit of a shake. Okay, just have a little twist for yourself. Lovely. Right, we're going to go right straight down onto the floor today. So we're not going to spend too much more time standing up. So I'm going to do my favourite, our mobility roll down. I'm really going to take some time on this today. So I'm just going to give my shoulder roll again. I'm going to think about that chin being on a shelf, but just slightly pointing down. This gives you a nice feeling of length at the back of the head. Drawing my belt in, soften my bum. Give your toes a wiggle. Think about that little blueberry in the arch of your foot as well. Lots to think about. Heavy knuckles, long neck. Imagine like your head is filled with helium. And between the heavy heels into the ground and the very top of your head feels really long and like you're absolutely balancing at that perfect point where gravity is holding you up and you're not really having to do anything. You're aware of your knees. Don't lock them. Be nice and soft. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to roll down through the body. So the chin goes first. And you can close your eyes if you feel confident to close your eyes, or just soften your gaze. Really think about each vertebrae working. Now this is going to feel funny the first time. When you get to that point of stretch, like, oh yeah, I can really feel that. That's when we very carefully soften in your knees. So we're imagining you've got that cup of tea on the very base of your spine, and I'm really carefully taking my knees down until I get that lovely box position. Splaying my fingers, and I'm going to take my presses. So I'm going down with the breath in and blowing the floor away on the up. So we know this exercise so well. So don't be afraid to add in. I know I always say it, so if you want to do more presses or go a little faster, please do. Very gently, I take my knees off. I think about that cup of tea. I'm dropping my chin ever so slightly as I get my heels into the floor. Now you can either stretch your knees here and uncurl from there, or you can keep your knees soft as you uncurl. So just figure out what feels all right for you. And then I'm back to that point. Have a moment of lifting that little blueberry, long arm, chin on a shelf. I take a breath in and breathing out to rolling down. So heavy, heavy. Think about each vertebrae. Be aware of where it feels tight. It feels tight and strange in the very lowest part of my back today. And it has done this week, and I'm not really sure why. So I'm just being careful with it. Finding the knees. Nice deep breath in on the down. Pushing the floor away. Think about the power that's going through the heels of your hands. And think about that belly button pinning up towards the ceiling like a magnetic force. That helps you to come up. Pushing into my toes, lifting my heels very carefully, trying not to sway. I drop my chin on my chest to find that lovely fold. And then rolling up. Really feel it in the base of my spine. But I feel really confident that it's just an awakening rather than a pain. Breath in, breathing out to lower. Nice heavy head. So where your head was like filled with helium, now it's heavy like a bowling ball. Squeezing that belt in nice and tight to keep that cup of tea safe and secure. The 9:05 cup of decaf. Here we go. Pushing through the heels of the hand. Keep lots of space between your earlobes and your shoulders. Pulling that belly button up towards the ceiling. Tucking the toes under. Nice and easy. So if you want, you can keep your knees soft on the way up. So you need to just work out what works best for you. I'm going to do 2 more of those. But when we come to the second one, we don't come up to standing, remember. We just take it back to a nice child's pose. So really being careful. When we get to your press-ups, obviously, as you know, I always do tricep ones, and that's because of space. But you always want to make sure that your chest is between your hands. Your nipples, as we've all got them. So we really think about that dropping between your hands. rather than your nose. Tucking my toes under, knees come off, gently without swaying from side to side. Head goes down, finding that lovely fold, little stretch, slowly coming up, feeling it in my lowest part of my spine. This is my last one, breathing in, breathing out. I actually love this exercise so much that when I've been teaching my sixth formers, I've introduced it. It's quite interesting watching teenagers trying to do something like this. Zero strength or energy. Gosh, I'm glad I'm not a teenager anymore. Take a breath in. Push the floor away. Really strong. Nice long line of the spine. Now I'm not taking it back. I'm uncurling my toes, separating my knees, and just sitting my back towards my heels. Now you might like to be sat up here. You might like to take it all the way down. So just find where's comfortable for you or in between of both. Take a nice deep breath. Really fill the lungs as you breathe in. And really let it go on the out. And another deep breath. And out. Okay. If you're enjoying it there, then please do stay there. Remember, you don't have to be still. Have a little wiggle if you like. I'll demonstrate what we're doing next whilst you're having a little watch. So we're going to do the thread through, the needle. I don't know if it's called a needle. I just figure, you know, that's the only thing I can think of really thread. So I'm taking my arm that's furthest away from you. I'm back in this nice box position. I'm taking a breath in. And as I breathe out, I'm feeding, threading it through with the back of my hand, skimming across my mat. I bend in my supporting arm all the way down to get my ear and my shoulder into the mat. I take a nice deep breath there. And breathe out. And again, breathe in. And out. And then the next time I breathe in, on the out, I'm coming back up. Back to that center point. So I'm going to go the other way. I'm just scooting myself a little bit because obviously, in fact, I'm like this mover. I think, was it last week I managed to smash it out of the way? Not clever. Take a breath in. And I'm breathing out and threading my hand through that gap all the way down, getting my ear and my shoulder into the mat. And I'm taking a nice breath in and out. And in, and out. And this time I'm breathing in. And as I breathe out, I push through the heel of my hand that's on the floor to pull myself back up, that lovely strong position. So just take a shoulder roll so you make sure that your shoulders aren't starting to creep into your ears. We're going to do that again. So breathing in, belly button in towards spine, breathing out. Gentle spiral as I take myself all the way down. Now, if you can take your eye line towards your ceiling, then that just gives your spine an extra little twist. So we're taking nice deep breaths as we're down there. I'm really enjoying that feeling of twist. I always find this is quite a nice one. I hope you do too. And this next one, I'm breathing in, breathing out and pressing back up into that strong box position. Last time on the other side, big breath in. Breathing out and threading through. And just enjoying the way into the floor. So your ear or your side of your ears on the floor. Shoulder. Looking up towards the ceiling if you can, just with your gaze. And then we take a breath in. And breathing out to come up. Lovely. We take our little hip circles here. So circling one way, nice and smooth and flowing. And then back the other way, nice and smooth and flowing. So really taking your time. Very good. Just take a little sit back if you want to take that child's pose once again. And relax that out. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Very good. Okay, I'm just going to take you right down into a child's pose. And we're just going to take our fingers for a little walk today. So we've practiced our cat camels on different corners. And today I thought where you've stretched out in this nice child's pose, so we're not overstretching it. So your elbows should be rested in towards the mat. Just going to take my fingers around for a walk in a little arc. So keeping my head on the floor, not moving it. You might have to shift it off an inch or two towards one side. And just taking a breath there so you can really feel some length in your rib cage. Take a nice deep breath in. Really breathe right into the deepness of the rib cage and breathing out. And then taking your fingers back, walking through the center. You might have to adjust your head a little bit. And then keep walking in an arc towards the other side. So just until you find a gentle lengthening down one side of your rib cage. Taking a nice deep breath in, filling the base of the lungs. And breathing out. And again, breathe in. And breathing out. And then walk them back to center. Take your head with it. And then just relax your hands back down. So we're going to move onto our side. So take your time. I'm going to gently roll up because I need to grab my cushion because it's behind me. So we'll go down on this side first. Now's a really good time to have a drink before we get onto some leg action. So I'm going to take my cushion with me. And we're going to be right down, lying on the cushion, comfy position. Assume the comfortable position. Yay, comfortable position. I'm going to have my underneath leg bent. That's for support, like so. And I've got my seatbelt on, so I'm here like so. But just adjust yourself so you sort of feel like your shoulders aren't crawling into your ears. I know I say it all the time, but it seems to be our default position. And we need to really sort of find that moment where we go, oh, actually, like when you're lying in bed and you just feel like your pillow's not right. It's that sort of awareness with your own neck and shoulders, whether there's a cushion there or not. Yeah, good. So we're just here like so, and we're going to do some nice sweeps. So my underneath leg is bent, that's for extra support. You can stretch it if you want to work a little bit more intensely, but in terms of what muscles it's working, it doesn't make a huge difference. And as my leg comes forward, it's flexing, heel is pressing towards you, and then I point my toe and I drive all the way back. So I'm going a little bit further back, so I'm really getting some squeeze in my glutes. So if you're back there and you give your bum a poke, you should feel like, oh yeah, I feel that muscle's gone a bit hard, which is quite nice. So I'm pushing forward with a flex and then pressing back with the big toe. Lovely. Breathing in and out. So just letting that leg sway through. And it's really nice to imagine that you're just whooshing your foot through some, not quite water, because you want it to be something a bit more, with a bit more, maybe like sand or treacle. So you're getting a little bit of thought of pressing that foot back. Nice deep breaths in and out. So this is quite a good one because I don't feel like it's too intense, but it's quite nice for the hip. It's quite nice for your glutes. Think about pulling that belt in nice and tight so you're keeping the top half of the body super still. Yeah, lovely. So keep going, and we're going to do 2 more, and then we're going to hold it still, but I don't want you to rest your leg today. That's my last one. I'm bringing it back so my hips are stacked, and I want you to keep it lifted. So I'm going to do some little circles with my foot. Little tiny circles. What balls are we on today? We've done golf balls in the past. I'm sure we've done tennis balls. Ooh, how about cricket balls? Clock spring forward on Saturday, so we can think about things that happen in British summertime, BST, and I'm going to go with cricket today, not that I have an interest in it. And I'm going to stop, and I'm going to go back the other way. When you go back the other way, if you weren't feeling it one way, You'll definitely start feeling it the other way. Your leg might start screaming at you. So nice deep breaths, squeezing that light belt in, thinking about that pelvic floor, little tiny circles, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, if you want to continue to work at a crazy level, then don't rest your leg. But if you don't, then by all means do rest your leg. So I'm going to take this leg out underneath, and we're going to do these where we join our feet in the air. So I take a breath in, breathe out, a little lift, breathe in, breathe out, the underneath leg joins it, breathe in, breathe out to lower. So we just want you to do 5 of those in your own time. Trying to think about the breath. So in and out we lift, in and out we lift, in and out we lower. So the action always happens on the exhale. Now, if you didn't rest your leg, like me, you might feel like someone's drilling into your thigh right now. I apologise about that. You can remember it when you get to the other side. When I say, if you don't want to, lower your leg. If you want to really push it today, you could think, no, that's a stupid idea, Laura, because it really hurts when I do that. This is my last one. This is my number 5. There we go. Okay. Woo, yeah, that felt good today. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Give your leg a little shake. We're not going to do any more on this leg on this side, so we're going to take ourselves up to sitting, do some work on our neck and shoulders before going on the other side. So like always, just be slow on the way up. Take your time. So you get a little head rush. Now this is where you might like to sit on your cushion or your Tina Turner. Siri's talking to me now. Or your Tina Turner, or you're not. So you can sit with your legs crossed or with your legs in front or kneeling. We're not here for too long. I don't quite like kneeling, but I always get pins and needles in my feet, which isn't ideal. So find your comfortable position and just take some shoulder rolls. That's it. Have a little slouch and then really sit up nice and tall. So find those sitting bones, your knobbly bits, basically. Your knobbly bum bits, find your knobbly bits. Okay, so we're going to do some work on your neck and shoulders today. So like we did at the beginning, we're going to do shoulders, elbows, arms, lift up. Then one hand is going to come down and it's gently going to skim across the mat, and we're just going to go into a bit of a side stretch. So I'm encouraging my elbow towards the mat without taking everything with it. So I've got to keep both bum cheeks on Tina. That's what I'm doing. She's loving life. And then bring it back up to center to go the other side. So I do shoulder rolls, fingertips and the elbows, nice elbows. Then my whole arm goes all the way around. Whoop, all the way around and up. I'm taking this hand down, just skimming my mat, encouraging my elbow towards the mat, and really not letting this bum cheek come off Tina or whatever you're sitting on, your cushion. So weight in both bum cheeks. And then back to centre. We're going to do the same thing again on each side. It's quite a nice one. But the trick is to keep that weight in both sits bones, or both bum cheeks, whichever is easiest, all the way around and up. This arm comes down. Just floating across the mat. Shoulder is down. Encouraging this elbow to bend to get that nice side stretch. So think of pushing this knee away. And that will help to keep your weight in both sides of your hips. Long neck. And back up. Gently, gently, gently. One more on the other side. I'm doing lots of arm rotations. It's because this is something I do in my contemporary dance class. So I feel like doing a whole rotation is good. All the way down. Little lift over as we reach up towards the ceiling a little bit, and then sink into the elbow, melting into the elbow. Try to breathe. Try to not hold any tension. And back up to center. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, just take a little twist one way. Have a little look over your shoulder. Back to centre, and then the other way. Have a little look. There we go, that feels a bit more even now. So we'll do a little bit on your neck. So today I'm going to take my hand over the top of my head. So these fingertips are just brushing the top of my ear. And then I gently, without yanking your head, just let the weight of your hand and gravity do a little bit of work. So we're just encouraging some space down here. And then with this arm, I'm extending it out and it's just hovering. And today we're doing little circles. There we go. So we can have golf balls today. These can be golf balls. So nice and little. So what that does, where you've got this stretch going on in the side of your neck, the little rotation of the arm just changes where that stretch is happening for you. So it's really working lots of different places in the neck. There's such a lot going on. So many nerves, tendons, so much tension. Shoulder blades going down into the down into the bottom of the spine. Then just send that circle of that hand back, little circle. So think about your middle finger, drawing those circles, relaxing into it. Nice deep breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. So rest that circling hand. Then just remove your fingers first. Peel your hand off your head. Let that hand melt away before you slowly come up to centre, because it's going to feel like your head really is full of helium. Ooh, take a shoulder roll. I'm going to go the other way. So I'm just going to take a little look around. That feels nice. So do whatever you need to do before we go on the other side. Hand wraps over the top of my head. Fingertips on my earlobes. Taking a nice deep breath in. And gently think of gravity doing the work. Focus on the weight of the heel of your hand until you find that place where you can feel a stretch. You might need to drop your chin slightly because you find that spot, that sweet spot. So wherever that needs to be, then I'm going to extend this arm. And here are my little golf balls. So my middle finger's making these golf balls. Try and relax in the hips, however you're sitting. That's it, and you're sitting beautifully, so don't worry too much about your belt, because you're sitting upright. Nice. So don't be afraid to just gently move your chin if you need to. Feel where it feels nice. Let that stretch and mobility move, and then taking the circles the other way. Nice long arm, little circles, nice deep breaths as well. Think about those shoulders coming down. So be careful that you don't start to cave in. Still trying to sit up nice and tall. So your back has got all the space it needs. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your golf ball hand back towards your knee. Peel your hand off your head, fingers to heel of the hand. Let that melt away. In your own time, just take your head back to centre. Take a nice deep breath in. And out. And then if you need to, just gently move your head wherever you need to be, up and down. That feels nice. I think I feel like a giraffe. Very good. Okay, we're going to take ourselves down onto the other side to do our other leg. So thank you, Tina, for looking after my bum cheeks. She's off for another week. I've never actually read that book as well. How bad is that? I know it's really good. I've seen the musical and I loved it, but I've never actually read that book. Maybe I will. I'm still finishing Harry Potter's for my eldest. I promised him I'd read them. And I'm on number 7. I'm nearly finished. It's taken me a year. I'm looking forward to reading grown-up books. Sort of. I'm sort of not, actually. I think I might have nightmares if I read grown-up books. Right. I've got that underneath knee bent for support. I've got my seatbelt on. I'm lifting up that top leg. I'm thinking about where my shoulders are in relation to my ear. So I'm not crunching. Nice and long. Using the front of my mat as a bit of a marker as where I should be. And then this foot's flexing as it comes forwards. Breathing in. I'm pressing away. Stretching that foot as I go back. So nice and easy. So I always find when I'm on this side, I have to work think about not wobbling so much in the top half of my body. So I've obviously got a slightly weaker side, which we all have, but it's really mild, and I think I only recognise it because I'm a dancer and I'm moving around all day. I really have to think about the top half of my body not swaying around like this. So I'm really controlling and thinking about where I'd let my tummy be really soft whilst we were sat. Really squeezing it. I've maybe gone up an extra floor on the elevator just to give me that extra support. So thinking about pushing through that treacle, or as if you were able to push through sand and you were making a nice big trench in some lovely warm sand. That's great. 4, 3, 2 more. And then if you can, we'll do the circles if you can hold it there. That's great. If you need to rest, then rest. So I'm going to take my little circles and back to the golf. No, cricket balls, right? BS2. Cricket balls. So little circles. Actually, my cricket balls are huge. They're more like dinner plates. Lordy. So I'm squeezing my pelvic floor and ever so slightly more, just to try and contain that movement and not let it all rock up into my torso. I can feel my shoulders sliding into my ears, so I'm going to think about that as well. Nice and long and lean. And then I'm going to send my circles back the other way. So this is when you're going to feel it a little bit more probably. Yeah, just a little bit more. So after we've done our circles, we're going to be doing our leg raises. So if you feel like you want to rest your legs, please do. I feel, because I'm strange, like I have to do it the same on both sides, otherwise I'm wonky, like a wonky donkey. So I'm going to keep my leg raised and regret it. So 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to hold that leg there, extend my underneath leg, make myself nice and long if I feel like I've scrunched up. Take a breath in, raise that top leg, breath in, raise the under leg to meet it, breath in, and lower out. So remembering doing 5 of those. So you can absolutely work in your own time. So you might feel like 5 is too much, and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 is perfectly good for you. You might like to think, do you know what, I'm going to do 25. Fine, do 25. You'll be doing 25 until 9:30. So just do whatever works for you. And equally, if this isn't the exercise for you, take a rest, take some breaths, listen to your music, smell your candles. Just have some nice deep breaths on this Wednesday. Okay, I'm going to do 1 more. There we go, my last one. That didn't feel too bad on that side. Okay. Oh, I'll give your knees a little squeeze. Have a little relax. We're going to take ourselves onto our backs. So nice and easy. I've got my cushion there. Lovely, lovely. I'm going to spend a bit of time just having a little bit of imprint. So we know what this means by now. Thinking about pulling the shoulder blades down as we rest into the floor. Thinking about your rib cage settling into the floor. That's why I like to have my cushion there. I find that easier. Just let your palms flip so your knuckles of your hands are in the floor just initially. And be aware of the natural curve in the spine and just very gently rotating the pelvis. So we're thinking about that lovely triangle, our Bermuda Triangle, remember? Mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. I can only say that because you're all females. I would never say that if there's a man on. Actually, I probably would. Their Bermuda Triangle's even worse. So I've got having a nice rotation, feeling that feels nice, and then let it just melt away ever so slightly until you feel that point where if I had my cup of tea now and I was to rest it on my Bermuda Triangle, it would be perfect and it wouldn't go anywhere. So there's enough space underneath my back to post a letter. It's not that I'm pressing into the mat by any means. I've definitely still got a little bit of arch and curl in my spine, and that's how we should be. That's how we're made. I'm like a perfect set of tram lines, and if I had my hands down by my bum cheeks, my heel would just about be just beyond my middle finger. So it's about a hand's width would be just about right. Lovely tram line from my toes, all the way up through my knees, through my hips, through my shoulders, out the top of my head. And there we are, we're perfect. So we're going to do some curls, little curl ups today. I find these are really nice ones. So I'm going to interlink my fingers behind the top of my neck, letting my elbows relax out and taking a nice deep breath in. And as I breathe out, I touch my chin in towards my chest and I'm looking down my body. I breathe in, I'm back out, and I'm really lengthening as I send my head down into my cushion. Breathing in, breathing out. Imagining my cup of steaming hot tea. Breathing in, breathing out, lengthening through the spine as I lower back down. And again, breathing in and breathing out. So where your chin is tucking in, you don't want your chin to quite make contact with your top of your chest. So imagine you've got like a satsuma, something like that, like a small piece of fruit. We've moved from balls to fruit. This is great. Under your chin for each one. And rolling back down. So keep going, nice and easy. Nice, easy tempo. And then when you get to your next one, I want you to hold it up the top there. So staying lifted, I'm taking my hands away and I'm pressing down. And then I'm lifting up so my arms become in line with my ears. Now, if you want to work a little bit more intensely, you can always take your feet off the floor. So you can take your feet to tabletop if you want to. If you want to work even more intensely than that, then you can take your feet away with your arms. You want to step it up a notch. So it's up to you. You've got loads of choices. If staying lifted and taking the arms is too much, then just keep going with the little crunches up and down. Do a few more of those, maybe 5. Let's try for 5. Just keep that shoulders lifted. Nice deep breaths. 2 more. And the last one. I'm going to rest my feet first, and then uncurl through the top of my neck. Let that go. So I'm just going to take my hands above my head, whole body stretch. I like to give my bum a little wiggle there. It's really good for releasing the tension that you hold in the lower part of your spine, a little wiggle. And it really does let your abdominals have a little rest as well. Excellent. That was quite intense, actually. I'm not going to lie, for a little a little core session. We're going to do one more tiny one. We're just going to do a little bit of a bicycle press, and then we will start to think about having a stretch. So I'm going to be taking one leg down the mat and my other knee in towards my chest. So I'm just going to squeeze each knee, one and then the other, okay? So depending on where you extend your leg is going to be on how intensely this is. How intensely, that's not even a word. How intense this may feel. And then as we got that action going, I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to lift my head and shoulders off the mat, and I'm going to continue keeping my head and shoulders off the mat. Nice deep breaths. So you can take your leg out to a 45-degree angle. That's going to be more challenging than if it's lower down. You can do 5 more. Nice and easy. Nice deep breaths. Last 2. Last one. Bring both knees, squeeze them in towards your chest, and then let it all go. Just flop. So you can stretch if you like, but I just think flopping just does the job quite nicely, having a bit of a flop. Okay, have a little wiggle of your bum, and we'll start to have a stretch. Well done. So I'm going to take my feet flat onto the mat today. In fact, let's take 1 foot flat onto the mat. I'm going to bring that knee in once again, squeezing that in. I'm going to actually today put this foot flat on the floor. I'm going to do that. That's because my lower back's just feeling a bit sensitive the last couple of days. I think it's because I've been sat on hard school hall floor and it's a bit cold. So as I'm there, I'm then going to interlink my fingers just behind the top of my thigh, so not behind your knee, whatever you do. So top of your thigh is fine. And then extending my foot up towards the ceiling. I want you to put your foot flat as if you're walking on the ceiling. Just be mindful if you can feel your bum coming off your mat. So the stretch wants to be down the back of your leg. So if you don't feel it there, you might want to stretch the other leg away if you feel confident to do that. Or you might just want to walk your hands up further towards your ankle, whatever you like, or grab your toe. Woo. Whatever you like, but just no pressure behind your knee if you can. Take a nice deep breath in. Breathing out and just drawing that knee towards your nose. Think about your shoulders pulling down. Think about your nice long back spine in towards the mat. Think about that curve, releasing in the glutes, taking a breath in and breathing out. Slowly letting that leg collapse in and swapping over. So again, I like to keep 1 foot flat on the mat, so you do whatever feels best for you. Interlinking my fingers behind my thigh. Big breath in. Extending the leg. Flex foot at the top. So really, if you draw your toes towards your nose, toes to nose, you're going to feel an increase in a nice stretch there. So that's good. If that doesn't feel very nice, then don't do it. My advice. Yeah, so there's a fine line with stretching. And people say, oh, that feels nice. I think it takes a really long time to feel like stretching feels nice. It's almost like a bit sadist, isn't it? You know, doing all this stretching and you think, oh yeah, stretch until I feel like I'm going to snap. Take a breath in and breathing out. Just let that leg come towards you. Don't be afraid to be soft in the knee. It doesn't have to be bolt right, so be soft. And wherever you feel a stretch in that leg is good for me. Again, if you're going to flex that foot, you're going to feel it in different places. Nice deep breath in and send the leg away. So I've still got this leg bent. I'm going to bring it back in again. This time, opposite hand to shin, drawing it across the body. I let this hand flop out to the side. Both shoulders are on the mat, so don't let your shoulder come off of the mat. And then I'm going to look away from that bent knee and really let my belly be soft. And you should be able to feel a nice big stretch down the outside of your bum. Maybe you can feel a bit of spiraling action going on in your spine as well. You might feel it in some other places. This is a real good whole body stretch. So if I'm just telling you where I feel it, but if you can feel it somewhere else, then good away. And then bringing that back into the center. And just swapping the legs over so one comes in. Giving that knee a little squeeze. Opposite hand to shin. Drawing it across the body. Let gravity do a bit of work. Looking away. Let your tummy be soft. Let your glutes be soft. As soon as you let it go, let that release happen in your tummy, in your belly and your bum, you should feel like, oh yeah, and then you really feel the stretch happening because you're not holding on to that tension. Focuses away, nicely breath in and breathing out. Take it back to center. Then you're just going to put your soles of your feet together. Let your knees just flop out to the side. Have a little rock. Nice lotus position. You know I throw this in here because it's my fave. Can't stay there for a huge amount of time because I think you might actually get stuck, but I do find it really relaxing. So we're going to move into our relaxation stage now. So I'm not suggesting for 1 minute for you to stay in this lotus position if that's not your thing. I am going to stay here for a bit. So take a moment to have a little bit of a drink, grab a blanket if you feel like you want to get really warm. As you know, at the end of the relaxation meditative bit, the session will just end. So if you want to get cozy and think, oh, I'm just going to lie here for an extra 10 minutes, then make yourself cozy. Do whatever you need to do. So finding your comfy place, lying how you prefer to lie. And we're going to start today by really concentrating on your breathing. So really taking that focus in. And be mindful of where your shoulders are in relation to your ears. And I hope we talk about it such a lot in this class, that as you go through your week, between Wednesday to Wednesday, that you think about that tension. And think about how to let it go and have moments where you take a big sigh or a little bit of a swing or a shoulder roll, whatever that is. Those little moments of mindfulness where you're actually being quite kind to yourself. Let your belly be soft. And as you're breathing, notice where you're breathing into. Do you breathe into your tummy, to your belly? Are you breathing into your lungs, at the top of your chest or at the bottom? Are you a little bit of everything? Are you filling yourself with air like a great big barrel? Are you filling yourself with air with each of those little bits as I'm telling you, as I'm awakening those thoughts? So we're mindful to breathe in through the nose as much as possible in our day-to-day lives, and especially now, increasing the amount of oxygen going around the body. Feeding your organs, feeding your brain, feeding your blood supply. But as you breathe out through the mouth, notice the warmth of the breath as you breathe out. Notice if you make a sound. And as you start to relax, don't be afraid to adjust yourself a little bit. I've just adjusted my shoulders. I felt like my shoulders creeping. And really start to fill those breaths. Make them mean something. So exercising your lungs. So important now, more than ever. To fill those lungs, all those little pockets, all the way down. And as you're breathing out, be aware of your ribs knitting back together. As you breathe in, they expand, spreading and separating, and as you breathe out, they knit back together. Relaxing, sinking down into the floor. And today I want you to take your mind into a beautiful woodland. Somewhere here, somewhere where you've been before. And it's a beautiful day, maybe in the late spring or the early summer. So the sun is coming through the trees and it's dappling the ground. There's the odd shard, a fantastic sun, a beautiful ray poking through. You can hear the birds. You can hear the soft crunching of the leaves and the twigs under your feet as you walk through this beautiful woodland. Notice the rabbit holes and notice the dips in the land, the roots of the trees as they poke through. The path is clear and you feel confident to walk through this woodland. And as you take those deep breaths, you're really filling the lungs with the smells of the woods, of the plants, of the beautiful fresh air, that smell of the sun and the shade of the trees. You can smell it all with every breath. Really enjoying it, noticing that you feel completely relaxed. Your body is sailing through without a care in the world. Your shoulders are relaxed, your neck is long. You have a beautiful natural curve in the spine. There's no tension, there's no pain. And you can see this path unfolding in front of you, really steady, really clear. It's winding. It's winding in front of you and you don't know what's beyond, but you feel really confident to follow it. Full of courage, leaving behind the path that went before and respecting that path and being thankful for it, feeling gratitude. And feeling confident that where you are exactly right now, at this exact point in life and in time, is the moment you are definitely supposed to be. Right here, right now. That everything that has come before mounted to this exact moment. Of you taking time to walk in your mind, to find peace, to find breath, to nourish your body, to nourish your mind. Take a moment to really think about how wonderful it feels. How all the time that we spend thinking, oh, well, I just don't want to do that today. I don't have time to do that today. I'd rather not do that today. That when we take those moments and we do that thing, you quite often can feel more wonderful than you have the whole rest of the day that went before. And as you feel really relaxed and heavy into your mat, keeping that picture of the beautiful woodlands in your mind's eye, hearing those birds, seeing that soft sunlight, start to think about our session coming to an end. But as always, you don't have to leave your woodland. You don't have to leave your relaxed state just now. The session will end. We will do all of that for you. When you do decide to move, take your time, have a stretch, drink plenty of water, enjoy a wonderful night's sleep, and know that I thank you for joining me today. And this session is going to end after 3 lovely, long, deep breaths. And after then, your time is yours. You take a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And one more from me, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth.